What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, Episode 1, Part 1. Real creative there. That's how you know that there's just so little creativity at Disney right now that they're just like, okay, so we got this Obi-Wan Kenobi show. We got 6 episodes. What do you want to call the first one? Part 1. Really? Do it in Roman numerals. That's creative. What? But I don't know whether to call this Season 1, Episode 1 or not, because, I mean, as far as I know, there's no Season 2 planned, and I looked stuff up, and it sounds like there's not really any talks about it, so we'll see how this goes. But admittedly, this is probably one of the most mixed feelings I had. Like, going into the book of Boba Fett, I definitely had sort of an uneasy kind of, I'm not really sure if I'm going to like this. You know, they've got a lot to kind of show me in this. Obi-Wan Kenobi is one that I have reasons to be excited, but I also have reasons to be worried. So first of all, I think getting to see Ewan McGregor back in the role is going to be fun. You know, I do think he is probably one of the best things about the prequels in, you know, that whole pile of crap. He was like the gold nugget on top. and surrounded by a few other gold flakes like Darth Maul and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, he's fun. He's really good at the role. I feel like I think he'll do a great job returning to it after all these years. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do with that. I'm also kind of feeling like there could be some intrigue. There's kind of a mixture of feelings on that note as well, because there's also the possibility that they could really go in there and tell some really stupid stories where it's just, I mean, I already know that he at one point meets Leia, you know, young Leia. And when I heard about that, I'm just like, okay, so he meets Leia, who later on is like, oh, I don't know who you are, Obi-Wan Kenobi, but please, you're my... Like, I'm pretty sure she doesn't talk to him as if she's met him before. She talks to him like she's heard of him and heard how amazing he is. But then they meet in the show. At least that's what I... It's been a while since I've seen the original Star Wars, but I'm pretty sure that's how it goes, is she's heard of him. She's heard of his legacy and who he used to be. But I don't think they ever implied that they had met before, as far as I know. But anyways, so there was a little bit of excitement, but also concern, because I'm not really sure what they plan to do. I'm worried that they're going to change some things or make some stupid, like, X-Men levels of messing up the canon type of stuff. We'll see what they do with that. I'll admit one of the concerns that I had going in was the fact that I know that Darth Vader shows up in the show as well. And there's just something kind of... On the one hand, get to see Obi-Wan and Anakin possibly facing off against each other. That would be kind of interesting. Maybe he finds out that Darth Vader's Anakin possibly in this. I don't know. But there's kind of a, ooh, that might be intriguing. But also, isn't it... I don't know. Isn't there something a little more meaningful about the lines they say to each other in the original if they haven't seen each other for years? You know, if it's been like decades on... I don't know. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. It's one of those changes that, obviously, I'm pretty sure diehard Star Wars fans, you know, that are upset by the whole who shot first thing, they'll probably look at this show and be like, this is changing too much, I hate it. I'm kind of mid-level where I don't want there to be a whole lot of change, because if you change too much, then you really start to mess with what the original was trying to do. But on the other hand, I welcome new ideas. I welcome the idea of maybe there could be some interesting dialogue between them if they meet first. I don't know. And I might end up having to go back and watch the originals again just to sort of see how well they stuck to the original canon without changing too much. But I will say the other concern that I had going into this wasn't a concern until I watched the Book of Boba Fett. And then after watching that, I was really concerned because that show is all based on, oh, well, people like Boba Fett, right? So let's just make a show about him. We don't have to actually show him doing much. People will just watch it because it's Boba Fett. And if we throw a little Mandalorian in there, that's fine too. I'm a little worried that, oh, this show is about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Everyone loves Obi-Wan Kenobi. We've got Ewan McGregor back. People loved him. He was the best thing about the prequels. we don't need to try too hard. People are just going to watch this and just be excited to see him as Obi-Wan Kenobi again. A little bit of concern there. Because, to be fair, I mean, Disney Star Wars, it feels like they are really leaning on that nostalgia ever since they took over. Feels like they haven't put a whole lot of effort into most of their stuff. Ironically, I think the most effort that's gone in has been the kid shows like Clone Wars and Rebels and Bad Batch. I think those have been treated with a lot more respect and a lot more time and effort put into the storytelling there than a majority of their live action stuff. So I'm a little concerned about that as well, but all that being said, those were my thoughts going into it from this first episode. Some of the thoughts have been realized, some of my concerns have been realized, but also there's a lot of hope going forward as well. First of all, I will say, I think the direction in the show, the directing, at least in this first episode, I don't know if they changed directors throughout, but the directing in this first episode was pretty bad. I mean, the Bail Organa's wife, I didn't believe a single word she said because everyone sounded like she was just flatly, you know, basically felt like Hayden Christensen in a way. Like, it was just very, okay, it's time for dinner. Where's Leia? It sounded like somebody put her voice through an AI re-speecher, if I'm being honest. So, it wasn't great there. There was also the scene whenever I think it was the third sister, and then I don't remember who the other guy was. So there was the Grand Inquisitor, the third sister, and then I don't know what his number is, but the three of them were like interrogating people, and then after she threatened to kill, actually this was later on, it was just two of them, not the Grand Inquisitor, but she threatens to kill Owen, and he drags her away, and is like, come on, let's get out of here. And then he goes around the corner, and the way she came around the corner, you could really tell. And it's something that if I'm an editor, or if I'm watching, if I'm the director, assistant, if I'm anybody in the crew, I look at this and I go, it looks like she was just waiting around that corner for her cue. It doesn't look like she was walking this way and then turned the corner. She literally looked like she, if I gotta get up and show it real quick, she's standing and then she turns and walks like around the corner. It was very clear to me. I know I can't really show it in this setting, and it makes me wish I had a better recording setup so I could. But yeah, it looked like she was leaning back against the wall, and then just did a quick little 180 and walked around. How could you not see that? Like, I'm watching, she heard action, she heard go or whatever, and she just walked around. It did not look like she was walking from a distance and then turned the corner. I know it's a little nitpick, and it's probably something that hardly anybody noticed, but it's something that bugged me because I'm somebody that consistency is very important to me. Whenever I've worked on sets or anything, I'm that type of person that's like, all right, from shot to shot, everything needs to be the same. When I worked background, I always did everything the exact same every single time, and nobody else, even when nobody cared, even when some of the PAs were like, doesn't matter, you're probably not even on camera. I'm like, I don't care. It's in my mind. It's how my mind works. I want it to be the same every single time, so I'm going to do it the same every single time. That's just it. So, just a little trip into my brain. But, yeah, definitely it feels like there are some direction issues. The whole chase scene with Leia was just... it was embarrassing to watch. Not that the little girl's... she's doing a fine job, I think, so far. I just feel like if you're going to have an action scene with a kid, either get a stunt performer that looks like a kid or get a kid that can do stunts. This was very clearly not that. And so you had to have all the adult, actors and stuff acting like, oh, she's so fast. Oh, I can't get her. Oh my goodness, how's she getting away so quickly? Oh, I was just about to get her, but then I ran into this branch and now I can't move anymore. It was like a comedy sketch more than it was an intense chase scene. So, definitely some issues with that. As far as the story is concerned, there are some elements that I think work. I think some of the moments between Obi-Wan and Owen, I thought were really kind of showed how... because I think, if I remember right, Owen was not the biggest fan of Ben. And he didn't want... like, in the originals, he was kind of a little grouchy. He didn't want Luke to do too much. He wanted him to stay here, stay at home, and from this point of view, from what little we got, that little conversation between him and Obi-Wan, it makes sense. It does make sense that he would kind of look at that and say, hey, you saw what happened with Anakin. You're the one that trained him. You really want to train him too? I don't think so. Look at what happened last time. There's an element of truth there that I think, one, affects Obi-Wan a little bit, but also I think does kind of show how Owen is not necessarily just, oh, the Jedi are just bad and I don't like anybody and I'm just a grouchy old man. He actually does have his reasons why he feels this way. I'm kind of glad we get to see a little bit of that. The one Jedi that was running away from the Inquisitors at the beginning of the episode and then sees Obi-Wan, I thought that story was really weird because he just sort of pops up out of nowhere and then all of a sudden he finds Obi-Wan in the middle of nowhere and then Obi-Wan basically turns him away and then suddenly he's just dead. How? How did any of that... I mean, I know they were threatening / bribing the civilians and stuff to out him, but still, I mean, how? We didn't get to see any of that. Did somebody turn him in because they wanted the money, or did the third sister go and start threatening all these people? I mean, she was also putting steps forward to clearly track down Obi-Wan by having these people kidnap Leia. So how did she do that? And as much as the one Inquisitor was in her face and saying, you're so focused on Obi-Wan, that's why you're not doing the job here. Well, if that were the case, then how come the very next day or very soon after they catch the kid? I mean, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it where, oh, we can't track down this kid because you're too focused on Obi-Wan, and then the next day, oh, well, you tracked him down and you killed him, and she's still focused on Obi-Wan. You can't have it both ways. So you need to explain, how did this work? How did you catch him? Did the bribing end up working? Was this one guy right in how he was handling the situation? I need to know this stuff. And maybe they'll explain it later, but it kind of feels like we're moving on to Obi-Wan going to rescue Leia, and we're just going to be focused there now, instead of actually, how did that kid get captured and killed? So, but I think overall it's a good setup. I wasn't really sure what the story was going to be. I thought it might be Obi-Wan trying to help this young Jedi out and trying to help keep him safe or something after he realized, these Inquisitors are for real and they are trying to kill him, and he could be in danger as well if they find the kid. But it's done now. So I don't think we're going to be focusing on that. So I feel like more than likely it's going to be Obi-Wan trying to help Leia, trying to get her back, and then probably trying to get her back to the Organas in the first place. I will also say it seems like the Inquisitors are trying to track down Ahsoka, I think. Because it sounded like the one guy said, you're never going to find us, and then was cut off right there. So if that's the case, I wonder if she's going to play into this at all. I don't know. It feels like it's kind of a random little plot thread to have, that they're trying to interrogate these Jedi to find out where Ahsoka is. But I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, with that being said, I will be tackling this, since there's only 6 episodes, I will be tackling this 2 episodes at a time instead of 3, just because I don't want to rush through this series in 2 quick videos. I want to give it the time that I feel like it deserves. And Obi-Wan's a character that I do want to see done justice, so hopefully this does better than what Book of Boba Fett does. But we'll see. So on to the second episode. I'll see you there. And now for episode 2, part 11. Not great. There are definitely a lot of questions I have after that ending, but overall, I mean, it's not really that interesting. You've got Obi-Wan trying to track down Leia. He eventually tracks her down, and then he tries to get her out of there, and then Reva shows up. She's trying to get Obi-Wan, so she has all these people trying to find him. Leia finds out that bounty hunters are going after him. For some reason, that makes her decide, okay, I'm going to run away from this guy now, even though the bounty hunters are after me too. And then she tries to jump off a roof for some reason, and then Obi-Wan saves her, and then she's like, oh, okay, I trust you now. And then it ends in that battle, which wasn't even a battle. It was just Reva walking slowly after Obi-Wan while he runs away in fear. And I don't know, this isn't... I guess we'll see if he grows, but this is not the Obi-Wan I wanted to see. I don't want to see an Obi-Wan he doesn't even hardly apparently know how to use the Force anymore. He barely does it right before Leia falls to her death. But is that the Obi-Wan anybody wanted to see? A guy that went out into the middle of nowhere and is just like, all right, well, I'm just going to stay away from the Force altogether. I thought he's supposed to be learning the Force at a deeper level. And it feels like that's not happening. And then at the end, again, I want to see an Obi-Wan that is, the older he's gotten, the more wise. Similar to like Yoda. The older Yoda got, the more wise he got, to the point where he was one of the most powerful Jedi because of his age and his wisdom. It's kind of what I was thinking from Obi-Wan. When we see him in A New Hope, obviously he's not the most mobile anymore, so his fighting skills are... But he's still very wise, and he clearly has a way with the Force because he's mastered it after so many years. This is an Obi-Wan that he's mastered the Force and then for some reason decided, you know what, I'm not going to touch the Force anymore. And I get that it feels like there's a blockade. Some of it, I think, has to do with what happened with Anakin and all of that. I guess that's what they're trying to show, but it's not really what I wanted to see out of Obi-Wan. If you're going to basically pull him out of retirement, I want to see him actually coming out of retirement, not, oh God, I'm going to need to run away now. Oh no, she's coming after me. Oh gosh. And again, it wasn't even that exciting. If it were she pushed all the boxes out of the way and he strikes at the lightsaber, but he's very clearly rusty because he hasn't used it in a while. He's clearly not in tune with the Force at the moment. There could be that fight where he is kind of getting beaten a little bit because he's not really one with the Force anymore. So his fighting skills, his Force skills, they're not great, so he does kind of get embarrassed a little bit by Reva. She basically toying with him, but she's not trying to kill him because she wants to take him to Vader. And then that's when the Grand Inquisitor shows up, and then maybe that can lead to a moment where he's like, here, I'll show you how to deal with this. And goes to kill Obi-Wan, and then she stabs him or something like that, and that's how Obi-Wan gets away. I feel like that would be a lot more exciting to watch than just Obi-Wan running away, hiding behind boxes as she's like pushing them out of the way and walking slowly and intimidating him with her voice. How is that fun? How is that exciting for anybody? So, I don't know. It wasn't really that great. There were some fun moments. I will say the guy, I think it's the same guy that was in Eternals as well. When he decided to become, or pretend to be human, he was like the Bollywood star. I think that's the same guy. I hope it is, because if not, then it's going to be a little embarrassing. But he had some funny moments. It was kind of funny seeing a guy pretending to be a Jedi, but not really. He's a little con man with his parlor tricks. His turn at the end was really weird, though, and out of nowhere. All of a sudden, just like, oh, no, I want to help you now. Let me help you. I'm going to tell you how to get out of here, and there are people that can help you. It just seemed very strange, and I guess maybe it implies that he has connections with people that know Obi-Wan and know who he is and want to help. But it still felt very sudden, and even like when he grabs his gun, it does... I think he said, let's go get him or something. I don't know. The way they shot it, it very clearly was meant to imply he's going to take in Obi-Wan and get the reward for it. But it was all just like, tricked you. He was actually going to help him. And I don't know. It still feels kind of weird to me. But, yeah, I don't know. It was just not a great episode. There were fun moments throughout. A few fun moments with that guy. A few fun moments with Obi-Wan and Leia, because some of her snarky backtalk is humorous at times. Other times it feels a little forced, and it feels a little too much like they're trying to really up the Leia. Like, oh, isn't she so awesome even though she's only 10 years old? A few too many moments of that made it feel more like a kid's show. Because I've seen like kids shows and movies where they want the kid to seem super awesome and powerful because they want the kids watching to be like, ooh, that could be me one day. I could do that stuff. And they want to be all wowed by it. I'm pretty sure there aren't a whole lot of kids that are watching Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't think. And it feels like Leia's kind of trying to be shown as like, oh, isn't she so badass and awesome? Okay, I mean, she does become that eventually, but she's still a kid. You know, you could show her being a rebellious little kid who just wants to go live her own life and have fun. That's fine, and maybe that's what grows into that snarky personality later when she's taking on, you know, talking back to Tarkin and all that. That would be fine, but to try to imply that she's already currently just, oh, she's so badass. You know, Leia, I know she's also kind of a Force user, but she wasn't on the same level as Luke with the Force. So I don't think her childhood would have been full of super cool, like, oh, she's so awesome, she's great at fighting, she's great at running away. I don't feel like that would have been her, but again, that's more coming from the mindset of what I remember of the originals. Maybe they're trying to do a different type of storytelling. I don't know. I will say the Grand Inquisitor dying, I don't get that at all, because pretty sure this is the same guy from Rebels. And he wasn't dead at the beginning of that, and Rebels, I'm pretty sure, takes place after all of the events of this, because if I remember right, Obi-Wan shows up and he's old man Obi-Wan in Rebels. So that's supposed to be set a lot closer to the end, like a lot closer to A New Hope. And yet, he dies here and shows up there. I don't... Something weird about that to me. But I don't know, maybe this was supposed to be a different guy. I'll look it up after I'm done watching the show. Assuming that, I don't know, maybe he survived a stab to the stomach. Qui-Gon couldn't, but he could, I guess. Make it make sense. But anyways, yeah, first 2 episodes, some fun stuff, some stuff that gets me excited to see more, and then some stuff that I feel like is just, it's not great. It feels like there is a lot holding this show back from being great, and I think some of it comes down to, as I said in the first one, the direction, not always the best. I do feel like there's some moments that feel like could have used a little bit more direction, a little bit more good direction, and making the scenes feel a lot more action packed and a lot more exciting instead of just, you know, bang bang, bang bang. It wasn't a whole lot of fun in the fight scenes in this one. Even the one where he's Obi-Wan sneaking into the place and he gets, you know, the 2 guys show up to be like, hey, what are you doing back here? And he like fights them off. Even in that scene, it felt kind of slow compared to what I saw in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. I mean, this one felt really, I don't even know how to describe it, but it felt like everybody was really focused on, all right, so I got to do this, and then I gotta do this, and it didn't feel like a fluid fight scene. It felt like everybody was going through the motions of, all right, so now I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna catch your hand, and then I'm gonna pull it this way, and then I'm gonna throw you around. It just needs a little bit more, in my opinion, to really. It's close in the action. It's very close, I feel, in some scenes. But there's just something lacking that makes it less exciting for me. So, all that being said, I still have hope that this show could be fun. Obviously, we see Vader being mentioned. We see him in the tank, so maybe we'll see him soon. I don't really know what to, I mean, I would assume James Earl Jones is still going to voice him. But I don't know how that's going to go, because to be perfectly honest, when he voiced him in Rogue One, it did not sound the same at all, because he's getting up there in age, so he's not going to sound as good as he did back when he first did the originals, or even when he did the end of the, you know, the prequels, when he did that final scene that we just don't want to even think about anymore. So I don't know if they're going to get him back to voice, or I don't know what they're planning on doing. But anyways, that's it for these first 2 episodes. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these first 2? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Obi-Wan Kenobi reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.